See, I don't know all that goes into it. I mean, I've been there, of course, and then all the details that go into it. It's quite something. And it's so interesting because it all means something. It's not just because.
Right.
It's for a reason.
Right. So I had never studied liturgy before this job, never looked into it, never thought anything of it. But one of the most fascinating things now that I've been in this job, that why I've loved learning about liturgy, is because all of the things we do in the Catholic Church as a part of liturgy that seem unnecessary or kind of strangely theatrical or this or that, right?
Yeah.
There's a deep theological reason behind each thing.
Yeah.
And most Catholics don't spend the time to look into that. And then the joke gets passed around of, we have Catholic aerobics. You show up to Mass and you're standing, kneeling, sitting, up, down, right? Genuflect here, and it's more of a workout than anything else. But each one of those postures is packed full with meaning. And so depending on what the congregation's being asked to do should reflect what's going on in the Mass and what our prayerful intent should be.
And see, that's one of the things that drew me to the Catholic Church was the physicality of it all. Because I'm a convert. I came in as an adult, and I loved the sit, stand, and kneel. I loved, standing for the reading of the gospel. I loved, making the sign of the cross once I understood it, because you have to have that explained to me. All of that, I thought, I'm a part of something. I'm actively part of this. Whereas, other places you can just show up to church, sit in the pew, and it's just kind of all done for you.
Yep.
And then you go home.
Yep.
And this, I'm part of something. I'm part of what's going on, and I love that. That was one of the things that really drew me to that. But then beyond that, understanding that everything you see happening on the altar, there's a reason for it. There's a deep, like you said, theological reason for it. It's not just because. It's not just like we got to do this, 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 and this. It's we are doing this because, and there's a reason for it. And I know for me, I can get wrapped up in going to Mass, go to the pew, I'm kind of just there. I'm missing out on the detail. I'm not really thinking about the detail of what's happening up there. The fact that even, there's a miracle happening on the altar every Mass. And I don't ever want to forget that.
Right. So one of the things that really fascinates me about it, right? All of these postures, right? We're moving, we're acting, we're doing physical things. God created us body and soul. So his work with us through the sacraments, through liturgy, is going to interact with us body and soul, because that's how we're made. So all of the sacraments are, Jesus came and was man and interacted with his apostles, human to human. And there was a physical interaction and it was a spiritual interaction.
Yeah.
Through the ministry of the church, we can all still interact with Jesus in that same way, as a spiritual interaction and a physical interaction, right? We're meant to engage our five senses in those sacraments, right?
Right.
Which is why learning the rubrics, getting all of that right, is important, because it's how we're interacting with Jesus physically, and we want it to communicate most clearly how Jesus would interact with us.
Right. And essentially, it's bringing heaven on earth,
right,
as best as we possibly can.
So for the Eucharist, right, we're using our sense of taste and our sense of sight and our sense of smell. We're physically interacting with that. And for confession, which I know is it's a uniquely Catholic thing. It's like, why do you have to go tell the priest?
Yeah.
Because the priest acts in the person of Christ, so that with your senses, with your ears, you can hear the words of God saying, I absolve you of your sins.
Yeah.
And that physical aspect is so important, because we're supposed to be redeemed body and soul.
Yeah.